It was long overdue and has finally happened. The Quad met today for its first ever summit. This is an extremely significant geopolitical event. It will shape the strategic alliances of our world. The Quad has 4 members: the United States, Australia, Japan and India. Leaders from all 4 countries came together for a virtual summit today. Before today, the highest level engagement was that of ministers. Foreign ministers of all 4 countries have met thrice in the last 3 years, twice in person, once virtually. And each time they failed to issue a joint statement. They only came up with separate statements, and they spoke in different tones. This is the first time the Quad is trying to speak in one voice. On Gravitas tonight, we'll decode the first ever Quad summit. What was discussed? What will be done next? Will the Quad become more than a talking shop? And what will this alliance mean for India? Let's start with what happened today. The meeting, as we told you, was virtual. For US President Joe Biden, this was the first high-level engagement since he assumed office in the month of January. With him was Vice President Kamala Harris. This meeting was initiated by Washington, and that should tell you how much significance the US attaches to the Quad. Other leaders in attendance: Japan's Prime Minister Yoshihide Suga, Australia's Prime Minister Scott Morrison and India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi echoed the urgent need for a summit like this. The Quad, we know, has potential. What it has lacked so far is political will. The alliance failed to spell out specific goals. Tonight, that wasn't the case. Even before the summit began, all 4 countries had a clear agenda: securing a free and open Indo-Pacific, securing free and open access to the Indo-Pacific, the supply of vaccines, it's a priority considering the pandemic, and resilient supply and production chains, a way to diversify and reduce dependence on China. The opening remarks touched upon all of these themes. The focus was the Indo-Pacific. All 4 leaders made a mention of it, and for obvious reasons. The last 1 year has seen how China's military aggression in the region is only growing. The border standoff in Ladakh, the provocations in Taiwan and the South China Sea, and around the Senkaku Islands near Japan. Earlier this week, we told you about America's military assessment on the Indo-Pacific. America's top commander called China the quote-unquote greatest long-term strategic threat to security. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi spoke about a free and open Indo-Pacific and India's commitment to democratic values.
We are united by our democratic values and our commitment to a free, open and inclusive Indo-Pacific. Our agenda today, covering areas like vaccines, climate change and emerging technologies, make the Quad a force for global good.
A very interesting statement. All Quad allies, we know, are robust democracies. Upholding a commitment to democracy is a clear message to China. The next issue was vaccines. Now, we know that China is trying very hard to push its vaccines. Even though they're unreliable, China says it will donate vaccines to 69 developing countries, and it is exporting vaccines to 43 countries. The Quad needs to balance the scales. Reports say the Quad is planning financing agreements to boost manufacturing in India. In simple words, they will pour money to make in India. These are deals for drug makers to make their shots in India. US President Joe Biden said vaccines will drive global growth this year.
The OECD also predicted that the United States economic growth, fueled by the ARP and increased vaccinations, will be a key driver in global growth this year, and our trade partners benefiting around the world as a consequence. But to get this right, we all have to focus on generating domestic demand and driving sustainable global growth. And we're launching an ambitious new joint partnership that is going to boost vaccine manufacturing and for the global benefit and strengthen vaccinations to benefit the entire Indo-Pacific.
The next key issue they took up is supply chains. Now remember, China controls supply chains. The pandemic has taught us why the world must diversify. The Quad today focused on the supply of rare earths. These 4 countries plan to build a rare earth procurement chain. Now, rare earths are crucial elements. They build practically everything that we use today and will use in the future. From smartphones to computers and batteries, rare earths are used in all of them. And right now, China produces nearly 60% of the world's rare earths. It controls the supply, which means it can dictate the international rules for future technologies. The Quad wants to break this monopoly, so the tone is now set. The leaders of the world did not mention China, these Quad leaders. They did not make a mention of China. The 3 issues they picked up sent a clear message to Beijing: a free and open Indo-Pacific, vaccines and global supply chains. The Quad will confront China on all these fronts.
From this global pandemic and the global recession, let us together create a different future. It is the Indo-Pacific that will now shape the destiny of our world in the 21st century.
With the 4 countries working together, I wish to firmly advance our cooperation to realize a free and open Indo-Pacific and to make visible and tangible contribution to the peace, stability and prosperity of the region, including overcoming COVID-19.
The timing of this Quad summit is significant. Top officials from the United States and China are meeting next week in Alaska. And this is the first bilateral engagement of the Biden administration, the meeting with the Chinese. And the Quad has firmed up its alliance now just before those discussions in Alaska. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.